Ruth. Welcome to today's Daily Pin Code. This is going to be a rocky edition. We are on another road trip. We're coming back from South Georgia from a family reunion of mine, and I mean South Georgia, down by the Florida border. So you're going to see all kinds of beautiful pine trees in the background. The family thinks I should call this one the Daily Pine Code. Or no, Pine Cone. I have an interesting perspective on our next book, the book of Ruth, after this weekend. But before I get into that, let's just look at a little bit of the history behind the book. Who wrote the book of Ruth? Well, it's really not known. But it is thought that the prophet Samuel did. Just like the book of Judges. Remember we talked about that the book of Judges and Ruth used to be one book. And then about 450 AD, Ruth got her own book. But so far, Moses and Samuel have written the whole Bible, right? So, kudos to Mo and Sam. Date written? Well, it's really not known when the book was written, but the prevalent view is between 1011 and 931 BC. Purpose of writing? Well, obviously it was written to the Israelites, but it's written to us as well. It's a beautiful story of how God blesses obedience. We talked about with the book of Judges, it was just a dark period in Israel's history with rebellion and all the consequences of disobediences. So you've got this woman named Naomi, right? Her husband Elimelech, and they were good guys. They were obedient people. They have these two sons, but because of Israel's disobedience, they're forced out of their home and they're on the run, and they relocate. So then Elimelech dies, and Naomi is a widow, and the sons marry. They marry two girls, Orpah and Ruth. Well, then the sons die. So now, you know, you've got mother-in-law and two daughter-in-laws, and she just tells them, look, you're not beholden to me anymore. I don't expect anything from you. Go and find new lives for yourselves. And one of them does, right? She had every right to. But there's one of them that did not. And that was Ruth, and she stayed with Naomi. And that brings me right up to my favorite key verse, which is from chapter 1:16. It says, "But Ruth replied, 'Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God.'" Well, as I thought about what I was going to say concerning the book of Ruth, it just so happened that we were pulling up today and visiting one of my aunts who is in a nursing home, Aunt Evelyn. She's 95 years old, sharp as a tack. If only her body would keep up with her mind. But I started thinking about those caregivers that she has, and I'm not talking about the nurses, I'm talking about the Ruths in her life who have put their lives on hold and decided to stay with her and take care of her. And one is her daughter Gwendolyn, but one of them is a lady that I met at the family reunion today, and she's not even blood family, but she goes by 3 days a week, and she takes care of her, and she reads to her. And I'm thinking, you know, you have to be pretty selfless to do that. I also have an Aunt Wanda Faye, and she put us up this weekend and fed us, and she goes down and visits another relative that we have that's in a nursing home that never married, doesn't have any children, but my Aunt Wanda Faye goes and looks out for her and takes care of her in her time of need. So I don't know. I know that James 1:27 says that pure and undefiled religion is when we take care of widows and orphans in their time of need. And I know these people, they are going to be rewarded. Well, was Ruth in the Bible rewarded? You bet she was, because one day she was going out in the fields just to do what she'd done every other day, which was to glean. You know what gleaning means? It means that basically she went into the fields after it had all been harvested by other people who owned the fields, and she was just trying to find crumbs that were left over. Long story short, she meets a wealthy man named Boaz. He falls in love with her, and they get married. Well, it doesn't just end with that happiness. They have a child, and his name is Obed, which I think is really wonderful because this whole story is all about her obedience. Guess who Obed was? Obed was the grandfather of King David. And of course, Scripture tells us that Jesus, he is from that family line. Scripture even refers to him as the son of David. So what a powerful story of obedience. Had Ruth not stayed to take care of an old woman, had she not stuck around when things got tough and money was tight and the future looked bleak, she would not have met Boaz. She would not have given birth to Obed. She would not be King David's great-grandmother and a direct descendant to Jesus Christ. You want to know what else is interesting? Now listen to this. Boaz has his own little history going on here. If you check out Matthew 1:5, Boaz was a descendant of the prostitute Rahab. The one in the Old Testament. In fact, he was her son. So, to be the son of a prostitute, I mean, who knows? We don't even know who his father was. Doesn't this just prove, I mean, Jesus, he had a prostitute in his family line. And what that shows me is that no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, God is not only merciful, he can work you into the beautiful tapestry of his family and his divinity. Practical application, you've already thought of 1,000 while listening to this, but let me just bring this home for you. Is there an older person in your life that you need to... You're not an older person. Oh my goodness gracious. Is there an older person in your life that you need to not desert, that you need to spend more time with? You should do that. I mean, I really urge you to do that because, you know, I'm going to say that if you will do that, there is a Boaz blessing coming your way. And an Obed, that you'll give birth to something because of that obedience. So just pray and just ask God, Lord, help me not be ruthless. Help me be like Ruth. That would be my prayer for you today and for me. Alright, I'm Laura Harris-Smith. I am going to take this crew home. We are exhausted, but we've got several hours left to go. But I will see you for our next book of the Bible on tomorrow's Pin Code.